Hello everyone. So in this short video, I will make a distinction between equality of opportunity and equality of outcome. It's extremely basic, both practically and conceptually. I think it's already conventional knowledge, but still, like people kind of either dodge the distinction, they pretend that it's not there, usually with political motivations behind. Because once you throw the word equality, inequality sounds negative, equality sounds positive, right? So you got the other person positively predisposed to you, right? So people say equality, intuitively their audience will assume equality opportunity because that's the intuitively correct way to go. And they are pushing actually equality of outcome, but they're just labeling it just equality so that people will not reflect on the distinction and therefore will not oppose our policies. So it's important to get this straight. Equality, what equality, right? Usually, quality of outcome is also discussed as presented as equity, right? That's the difference between equality and equity, equality of opportunity and equality of outcome. So let's get right to it. Equality of opportunity means basically it's in line, is consistent with the principle of non-discrimination, right? So equality of opportunity means that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what group you belong to, if you're white, black, or Asian, if you're white skin or dark skin, what your sex, your gender is, your race, your ethnicity, and so on and so forth. It doesn't matter what your group identity is, but you should have the same opportunity as others, right? So, for example, in order to get a job at the workplace or in order to get a position at the university, how do you get there? Well, the equality of opportunity would imply that, for example, there is a one uniform exam, one exam, same for everyone, right? And let the best people get in, right? It doesn't matter who you are, tall or short, slim or fat, beautiful or ugly, white, black, Latino, whatever, gay, straight or bi. It doesn't matter what your group identity is, right? What matters is your academic competence, right? Or if you're applying for a job in the workplace, doesn't matter what group identity you have, man, woman, trans, whatever, white or black, whatever. It doesn't matter what your identity is. What matters is if you're good for the job. Okay, so this is equality of opportunity. Okay, it's consistent with the principle of non-discrimination because you're not discriminating based on sex or gender or race or ethnicity or anything else. The only thing you care about is appropriateness for the role, right? If you're good enough for the job, that's all that matters. Equality of opportunity, on the other hand, would mean that, well, your group identity matters, right? Why? Because that's why equity, social engineering. You want to engineer society. Want to to tickle, actually get in society and make artificial changes so that you have equitable outcomes, right? So that in the work environment, for example, you have 50% men, 50% women, right? So the first problem with equality of outcome is that literally, in its literal sense, it is impossible. Why? Because all of us belong in more than one group identities, right? I mean, without a blink of an eye, I can think of many group identities that I have, many groups that I belong to. Let's see. Well, I am a man, obviously, sex male, gender also male, if you believe in gender, and I am obviously white race, Caucasian, ethnically Greek. These two are not the same. They're white people who are not ethnically Greek, right? Okay. Citizenship, Cypriot. There are Cypriots who are Armenian Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots. So citizenship and ethnicity and race are three different things. And I am also, well, my sexual identity, heterosexual. I could have been homosexual or bisexual. I mean, without a blink of an eye, I already found 6 group identities that I have. We all belong in many different groups. You all have different group identities, right? So if in a work environment you want to have equality of outcome, which group identity will you use? Men, women, 50% men, 50% women. Well, how about trans? Okay, so 1/3 women, 1/3 men, 1/3 trans, right? Okay, well, how about race then? And how many races are there? White, only white, black, and Asian. Well, how about Indian? How about if Mediterraneans feel that they're a different race, we're olive skinned people, no white skin? How many races are there? But even if you do decide that there are only 3 races, okay, so how will you employ people so you have at the same time 1/3 men, 1/3 women, 1/3 trans, and at the same time 1/3 white, 1/3 black, 1/3 Asian? And at the same time, 1/3 straight, 1/3 homosexual, 1/3 bisexual. How can you do that, right? So in its literal sense, it's impossible, one. Two, in its literal sense, it's also unwanted, right? People they say, but they don't really want it. How do I know? Well, they talk about equality of outcome a lot in terms of men and women, right? So you want equality of outcome where? Everywhere in the society? Okay, well, in prisons, you have the ratio of male to female is like 10-1. So what should we do? Put innocent women in prison so we have equality of outcome in prison between men and women? Or we should, let criminals walk free because they are men, and well, we have too many men in prison. Not too many, but more than women. I don't think so, right? So where do you want that? How about bricklayers? Should we employ more women in construction and like construction workers and bricklayers because there are more men than women? We don't want that. How about more? The majority of academics in social sciences in the West are women. So we should fire some women, or we should employ certain people because they are men, so that there's equality of outcome. Nobody argues that. Have you ever seen that being argued? Of course not. We argue that only in places where are less women than men, and okay, there has to be more women. But why? Maybe it's a case that simply more men tend to apply in jobs like engineering, and more women tend to apply in jobs like nursing, which is actually true, right? So it begins from the false assumption that if you see an inequitable outcome, then there has to be discrimination, which is actually not true. Is it the case that there are more women in nursing schools because somebody's discriminating against men? Somebody's preventing men from applying to nursing schools? I don't think so. Is there like any proof that women are not allowed, or they're prevented from applying in schools of engineering, and that's why you have more boys studying engineering than girls? Of course not. So it is not true that when you have an outcome that is not the same between the groups, that there is discrimination. That is just not true, as a matter of fact, right? This discussion originated from like the pay gap, and the pay gap has been disproven again and again and again. Yet it's one of the myths that keep going, right? So when it comes to the pay gap, what they say is, on average, in the Western societies, men are paid more than women, so there's discrimination against women. It is actually true, as a matter of fact, that on average, men earn more than women in Western society. It is just not true that this is due to discrimination, and we just know this. Why? Because once you start seeing the salaries and the income of men and women in each profession, then the disparity of outcome starts to disappear. Right? So if you go, for example, in nursing, the disparity of income between men and women is way less, if at all, than the disparity of income between men and women across society. Right? Why? Well, because there is no discrimination, because the salary depends on the role, not on if you're a man or a woman. If you apply for an academic position on jobs.ac.uk, you can see the salary waiting for you right there. It will depend on the role, not if you're a man or a woman, right? Actually, many businesses now overcompensate women because they are, afraid of the pressure against them in terms of pay gap. So also there are other reasons, like on average, more men than women want to work longer hours per week. Also, many women take more. Not only women are entitled by law to more paid holiday to stay with their child, so that actually the target of discrimination here are single fathers. But it's also the case that many women take more unpaid holiday than men in order to stay with their kids, right, after their paid holiday runs out. So there are many other reasons that account for this, let's call it pay gap on average, right, than discrimination. So the issue with equality of outcome, again, is that one is, literally speaking, is impossible, because we all belong to different groups, to many groups. We all have many group identities, right? And you cannot have equality of outcome in any environment, university or work environment, whatever, based on all using all the group identities. So equality of outcome is literally impossible. Two, it goes against individual justice. That's social justice, social engineering, equality of outcome, going against individual justice, because with equality of outcome, certain people will get a job or a position at university, whatever, in virtue of their group identity rather than exclusively their credentials and potential abilities, right? So it goes against individual justice. And third, it's often used, like I explained, with certain political motivations in mind, right? So it's a very basic distinction. Anyone can understand it, and it's good to be reminded of it again and again, because it's constantly there, right? Everybody's, that's not equal. Why? How? So the trick here begins from having to be specific, accurate, and precise in the claims you're making. Okay? Thank you very much. See you next time.